congratulations. You even said, what a lap, over the radio. Just how good was it?
That's the confusing thing. I mean, it was obviously it was an incredible lap. You know, I pushed the braking everywhere, I pushed the high speed a bit more, and all those things. But yeah, I don't have a delta, so I don't know if I was up, if I was down, if it was good, bad, whatever. There was a couple little places where, you know, I thought I messed up a touch and didn't get the best exits, like out of 6. But the rest of it felt pretty decent, and I was happy. But I thought I'd be more like a 15.9, 15.8. I thought if I'd get ahead of Charles, I'd be pretty happy. So when I saw 15.5 on my dash, it put a pretty big smile on my face, because it was one of those laps which was you know, everything just came together in terms of feeling. It was very natural, and you know, similar to my lap in Monaco. So a good feeling, because it's been a while. It's not that often this year I get that feeling in this car, even with how quick it is. But yeah, happy because of this.
Lando Norris takes pole position in Mexico with a lap that left even him speechless. After losing FP1, struggling through FP2, and doubting the car's balance, he turns it all around overnight. Norris outpaces Verstappen by almost half a second and his own teammate Piastri by 0.6. The post-qualifying interview where Norris finally revealed how he pulled off one of the most perfect laps of his life. It wasn't just numbers or lap times that hurt him, it was perception. In Formula 1, momentum is everything, not just for the driver, but for the entire machine behind him. Every result shapes confidence, belief, and the invisible chemistry that binds a team together. For weeks, McLaren had seemed just half a step behind. Updates weren't delivering what simulations promised. The car's balance fluctuated from circuit to circuit. And in the middle of it all, Lando was trying to stay calm, patient, and analytical, even as the outside world began to talk of pressure, fatigue, and fading form. But that's where Norris has changed. The version of Lando we see in 2025 isn't the lighthearted kid who burst onto the grid laughing through the pressure. This is the mature version, reflective, composed, and fiercely aware of the mental side of competition. He's learned to compartmentalize, to draw a line between emotion and execution. "I'm not interested in the noise," he said before the Mexican weekend. "If the car's good, I'll deliver. If it's not, I'll help make it better." That sentence, understated, almost casual, revealed the quiet steel that has replaced youthful impulsiveness. Inside McLaren, everyone felt the same weight. The team had been walking a tightrope for months, trying to balance updates between Norris and Piastri's driving styles. What worked for one often unsettled the other. In the data room, there was no clear direction. And yet, through it all, Norris never lost trust in his engineers. He stayed after debriefs, digging through traces, searching for patterns, hunting for understanding. He knew that the solution wasn't going to come from emotion, it would come from patience. His relationship with his race engineer, Will Joseph, became central, direct, honest, and free of drama. In a sport built on ego, that kind of communication is gold. Then came Mexico, a circuit where everything changes. The altitude levels the field, and the mechanical balance of the car becomes far more important than raw power. For McLaren, this was both a challenge and an opportunity. The MCL39 wasn't perfect, it had weaknesses in traction and straight-line speed, but it thrived in medium-speed corners, and Mexico had plenty of those. The team knew it could be a turning point. And Lando? He sensed it too. "This place rewards rhythm," he said. "If you're smooth, you can fly." From the outside, Friday looked ordinary. In truth, it was chaos wrapped in calm. McLaren's rookie session meant Norris lost FP1 entirely, no early laps, no setup feel, no real-world data. By the time he took over in FP2, he was effectively flying blind. The MCL39 was nervous on entry, snapping under throttle, its balance inconsistent between corners. The thin air had stripped away downforce, and the car's once stable rear end was now alive with uncertainty. On the radio, Norris's tone was composed but firm. "It's loose everywhere, especially through the S's. The rear just isn't following the front." What happened next was what separates good teams from great ones. Instead of panicking, McLaren went to work with clinical precision. The engineers pulled telemetry from both cars, comparing Norris's initial laps to Piastri's. They found subtle inconsistencies in ride height and rake sensitivity, small details that would normally go unnoticed, but in Mexico's altitude, became magnified. The solution was bold: adjust the suspension geometry and floor edge setup overnight, essentially rewriting the car's mechanical behavior in less than 12 hours. And it worked because Lando Norris made it work. His feedback was meticulous, delivered not in emotion, but in language engineers understand. He didn't just say the car was unstable, he described where, how, and why. He talked about torque response out of turn 3, the oscillation of the steering under braking in turn 6, and how the differential setting on exit was costing him rear rotation in the stadium section. It was an engineer's vocabulary spoken by a driver, and it was gold dust. Every comment became a clue, every feeling a data point. By the time the team rolled the car out for FP3, the transformation was visible. The MCL39 that had been fighting itself the day before now looked alive. Its behavior through the high-speed sequence in Sector 2 was fluid, planted, almost effortless. Norris's radio message said everything: "This feels like it should." There was no celebration, just satisfaction, the quiet recognition that he and the team had cracked one of Formula One's most complex setup puzzles overnight. The technical secret lay in how McLaren approached the aerodynamic challenge. Where others opened up their cars for cooling, sacrificing drag and losing speed, McLaren trusted the efficiency of their 2025 package. The MCL39's innovative twin-louver cooling design, first introduced mid-season, allowed tighter bodywork without overheating. That meant cleaner airflow, better rear stability, and crucially, faster straight-line speed, an advantage worth up to 0.3 per lap in Mexico's thin air. But the real differentiator wasn't in the wind tunnel. It was in the cockpit. Norris had adapted his driving style to the conditions with remarkable finesse. While others complained of sliding through the low-grip corners, he found rhythm. He braked half a meter earlier, rotated the car with throttle instead of steering, and maintained momentum through the corners instead of fighting the aero deficit. Watching his onboard was like watching a violinist perform with a slightly out-of-tune instrument. He compensated instinctively, turning limitation into performance. By the end of FP3, the data was undeniable. Norris's cornering speeds were among the highest on the grid. His throttle application was smoother than anyone else's. His tire temperature spread was near perfect. The engineers in orange could hardly believe the consistency of his telemetry traces lap after lap: identical lines, perfect balance. As one McLaren mechanic put it quietly afterward, he makes the car look simpler than it is. That's the essence of Lando Norris's brilliance. He's not the loudest in the room. He doesn't need the theatrics of frustration or the drama of radio rants. His power lies in composure, in his ability to analyze, adapt, and lead through precision. What unfolded overnight in Mexico wasn't luck, and it wasn't coincidence. It was a collaboration, the purest form of teamwork between a driver who understands engineering and engineers who understand their driver. By the time qualifying rolled around, the confidence inside the McLaren garage was palpable. The data looked good. The balance felt perfect. And above all, Lando was calm. The kind of calm that precedes greatness. From the very first run in Q1, his intent was obvious. While others fought the track, Norris studied it. The McLaren MCL39 rolled out on a fresh set of softs, its orange paint shimmering under the sun. As the rest of the grid rushed to set early times, Norris held back. He wanted a cleaner track, more rubber down, more temperature in the surface. It was patience disguised as strategy. "Let's wait," he told his engineer, Will Joseph. "We'll get them when the grip comes up." When he finally launched for his first-time lap, the delivery was flawless. Through the opening sector, Norris combined aggression and grace. He braked later than anyone into Turn 1, brushed the apex of Turn 2 with millimetric precision, and powered through Turn 3 with traction so smooth it looked digital. The car looked light, alive, and perfectly balanced, a far cry from the nervous machine he'd wrestled with just 24 hours earlier. The lap put him comfortably through to Q2, with a time that was both fast and effortless. And that word effortless was the key. In Q2, the challenge intensified. Temperatures climbed, and the track grew more unpredictable. Leclerc pushed hard, Verstappen hovered near the top, and Hamilton lurked just a tenth behind. Norris, though, never blinked. He called for an extra prep lap to bring the tires gently into range, a small decision that made a big difference. By the time he started his flying lap, the tires were in the sweet spot, and the MCL 39 danced beneath him. Through the S's in Sector 2, where others lifted, he kept his foot in. His telemetry trace showed a commitment that bordered on reckless, but it wasn't. It was controlled chaos. He crossed the line with the fastest time of the session, more than 2 tenths ahead of Verstappen. "Good lap, mate," Joseph said over the radio. Lando's reply was simple: "It's coming together." And then came Q3, the arena of truth. 10 cars, 12 minutes, 1 lap that defines everything. The crowd roared as the Ferraris and Red Bulls hit the track first. Leclerc posted a provisional pole of 1 minute and 15.991 seconds. Verstappen fell short. Hamilton couldn't match it. But there was still silence in the McLaren garage. Norris hadn't gone out yet. He was waiting, calculating, timing his moment to perfection. When he finally left the pits, the stadium came alive with orange flags. The lap began with the kind of quiet confidence that only a driver in total command exudes. Into turn 1 late on the brakes, a clean rotation. Turn 2 tight to the curb, but no oversteer. Turn 3 smooth power, no wheel spin. Through the high-speed sweep of Sector 2, Norris was flying. He threaded the car through the S's with millimetric accuracy, his throttle never lifting below 80%. The telemetry later showed he was 6 km/h faster than Verstappen through turn 8, a margin that would decide everything. By the time he entered the stadium section, the crowd was already reacting. You could feel it, that rare mix of disbelief and awe when a driver finds something extra. Norris glided through the final corner, kissed the white line, and floored it. Across the line, 1 minute and 15.586 seconds. Pole position. The radio exploded. Well, Joseph, normally calm, couldn't help himself. "That's the one, Lando." Absolutely unreal. Norris laughed, breathless, "Mate, I don't even know where that came from." Joseph's reply summed it up perfectly: "That's why you're special." That exchange, simple, human, unfiltered, captured everything about Norris's evolution. Gone was the anxious young driver chasing validation. What we saw in Mexico was a craftsman at the peak of his understanding. A driver who'd learned to merge instinct with analysis, courage with control. Every detail of that lap told the story of his growth. His braking points were later than Verstappen's, but smoother. His throttle application through Sector 2 was more progressive, saving the rear tires while maintaining corner speed. His line through the stadium was narrower, reducing distance and maximizing traction on exit. It was not a lap built on luck or aggression. It was built on logic and the calm confidence of a driver who knows he's in sync with his machine.